Welcome back to Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. Welcoming a first-timer to the program. He is an author and the founder of a nonprofit, Mr. AD Burks. How you doing, man?
Great, and you?
I'm doing well. So you have a book that is called The 4 Steps, A Practical Guide to Breaking the Addictive Cycle.
Yes.
So, well, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native Houstonian, grew up in Missouri City, went to the high school for health professions, graduated top of the class, then went over to Cornell College in Iowa and became a chemistry major.
Oh, wow.
Started pursuing music and then came back to Houston and got an MBA at Rice. And do real estate and other little things like that.
Oh, okay. So what the book that you
Yes.
have, the 4 Steps Guide. And I understand that this is a journey that, like, this is from your personal life, some things that were going on, and you documented it, and now you have a book and explaining how you got to where you got to.
Right.
So tell us about it.
So the first book I wrote was a memoir on sex addiction.
Okay.
And from that, I included the 4 steps, just a sort of snippet talking about how I was able to break my addictive cycle. Well, more people were asking, well, I need that same process. So I then created the 4 Steps Guide, which goes through each step. I give commentary, and it's actually a workbook, so you can work each step yourself.
Okay. So you said sex addiction.
Yes.
My friends and I, we always have this debate about sex addiction. Some are explaining to me like it is real, because at first I didn't believe in it. I'm like, well, what constitutes one who has a sex addiction? Like, if I like to have sex a lot and I just need to, release every day, like, is that addiction? And then, a female friend of mine, had to break it down. She was like, when it takes over your life, like when you can't do what you normally do because you're too busy stuck in the house, getting yourself off or doing whatever, then that is addiction. Because it reminded me of when Halle Berry and Eric Benet got divorced, and then they labeled him
a sex addict.
Right. Because, he just wanted to have sex with his wife. She probably wasn't giving it up enough. And I was just like, well, what constitutes a sex addiction? Like, is it a different definition?
So let's first define the word addiction.
Okay.
So how I define addiction is any substance or behavior a person utilizes to escape pain.
Okay.
So when you put the word sex in front of it, an individual is using sex to escape pain. So it goes back into the definition of, okay, what's the intent behind the usage? So if you're using it to escape pain, I then define it as an addiction.
Got it.
And that's the problem because, my mom's a licensed professional counselor. So people want to use the DMS-5 to determine what constitutes addictions or not. And then they have these criteria. But when you look at it from sort of a layman's term, is the person using the substance or behavior to escape pain? And at that point, are they using it on a consistent basis? Then you get addiction. And that's why you look at our society in general. So many people have addictions which haven't been diagnosed. And just this week, they diagnosed gaming as an official addiction. So if you can go that simple, am I utilizing this substance or this behavior to escape pain, then I become an addict. And
gotcha.
it's such a negative connotation with the word addict.
Right.
But if you can say addiction equals pain, then I think we all can say, okay, well, all of us experience pain.
Right.
Now I don't have a stigma associated with addiction.
That's brilliant. You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to AD Burks, author of The 4 Steps, A Practical Guide to Breaking the Addictive Cycle. So how many Americans or Houstonians are affected by addiction?
So some stats I compiled when I was in the process of writing a proposal for this book. 42.1 million Americans are estimated as smokers, 23.5 as alcoholics and drug addicts, 9 million as sex addicts, and 6.5 as gambling addicts. Now, if you look at compulsive shopping, it goes up to 20 million. But what they really haven't, to me, outlined is addiction to food and sugar. 70% of Americans are overweight.
Yeah.
But once again, that's why I put a broad definition on addiction so people can realize and say, well, is this behavior or substance I'm doing, am I using it to really escape pain? This has become an addiction for me.
Yeah.
I need to get it under check.
So saying that, AD, so now I'm thinking there are some people in my life who are addicted to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have broken it down like that, like food, for example.
Yes.
I mean, I got a friend who, like, she turns to food when she's feeling bad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to eat. I mean, there's been plenty of times where we've had conversation. She's like, oh my gosh, time to eat a pint of ice cream. Like,
Right.
what is going on?
Exactly. And so if we can sort of reframe the definition of addiction and get our minds wrapped around what's actually occurring, then we can actually put a stop to it, because you just said she was feeling bad. Instead of really addressing what was causing her to feel bad, or what I could say the root cause, once we can get to the root cause, there's no need for addiction. So you see these celebrities that continually going back and back to rehab.
Right.
Well, what's happening? They're not getting to the root cause of their pain.
Right. And normally it's something traumatic that has either happened in your childhood
Yes.
or adolescence that you carry with you into your young adult and adulthood.
Right. And that trauma, what's scary about trauma is we put so many layers on top of things that to get to the real root takes a while.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, my trauma had to deal with accepting who I was and people pleasing my mom, because she had sacrificed so much. I'm an only child. All the things and opportunities I were given because of her sacrifice. But at the same time, I had to realize me trying to people please her was then causing me to be addicted to sex, because I needed to escape from that pain of trying to people please.
Oh, wow. I see. Now you're in my head. I was just about to ask what led to that. You just answered it for me. So I'm sure that type of pressure, was pretty heavy on you.
Oh, yeah, because, I was so blessed at the age of 14. I'm going to Russia with people student ambassadors. I'm traveling the world. A good student. Yeah, I put in the work, but it was her sacrificing as a single parent and allowing me to have all these opportunities. So in essence, I felt like, I have to perform, be that perfect person in her eyes and then her friends' eyes, to sort of give back to what she's sacrificed. But you can't do that. And that was my story. Other people do it for other reasons, and you have to really understand, which is step 3. I don't want to jump and storm the steps, but step 3 is, understanding your environment and what constitutes, because what you consider normal and what I consider as normal is different because of the households we grew up in.
Right.
But, what constitutes abuse, psychologically, we can define that and realize a lot of people have been abused as children, sexually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and they carry that on a day-to-day basis. And that pain manifests itself through different experiences with others.
Oh, yeah. You listen to Access Houston, talking to author AD Burks, the 4 steps, the practical guide to breaking the addictive cycle. As much as you are willing to share, when it came to your addiction, was there anything specific, like you just needed to do it just so you could feel better, or what was it? Pornography? Was it just random sex? As much as you want to share,
No.
I'm just trying
to be honest, the full version of everything that happens is I wrote it in Sex and Surrender and Addict's Journey.
It's in the book.
So
We gotta get the book.
You can read the first chapter online at sexsurrender.com and hit the book tab, and it gives you all of that information. But to give you, I guess, a snippet of what happened,
Sure.
I would act out sexually when I felt so much pressure and I couldn't get it, because I was having to live double lives, trying to be who I wasn't versus who I was, and thinking the life I really wanted I couldn't have. And so I would act out. So I would have to live this perfect life on paper, the smartest kid, doing all these things that, society considers, okay, you are worthy once you do this. You accomplish these grades. You have 6-figure income from a particular job, but you're not happy. And anytime that it keeps building and building, you're going to act out.
Yeah.
And so what some would say drug of choice was sex, whereas other people's, it could be food, it could be alcohol,
it could be shopping,
it could be
drugs.
And
everybody has their vice.
And the scary thing is, like, when you look at sex versus other addictions, is to what I call a silent killer. A person who's on drugs, you can physically usually see it. Someone who's drinking alcohol, sometimes vodka will come through their pores. But sex addiction is a silent thing because you hide and you don't know. And sometimes the last thing could be ultimate death, whereas you don't have things in place to help you get it. Luckily, thankfully, my religious background or spiritual background is what helped navigate me through that time, because God, if he hadn't kept me, I could be just like what's going on right now. The statistics of people dying of sexually transmitted diseases going up.
Yeah. So when you would act out, was it just because of the pressure, or were you one of those ones like you just saw a piece of skin and you was like, oof, let me get this out?
Well, it depends. Where we are mentally in that space depends on, we could be having a good day. Some people, they act out because things are going great. Yeah. And this is what I've gotten used to is like, oh, this is,
if I could be honest right quick, if this is the honesty hour, I understand that because I have two vices, two things that I do when I'm feeling bad and when I'm feeling good, or I've accomplished something I want to celebrate. I either want to go shopping, or have sex. One of those two, if not both. And when I go shopping, like, it doesn't have to be necessarily, that I'm buying clothes or jewelry or anything like that. Like, I can just, buy some things for the house. Right. So, if I'm feeling bad, having a bad day, I need some things, I'll go shopping. That'll make me feel better. Or, I'll call up one of my starting five and, go bang them out, and then, I'm good. So I can definitely, I can relate. It's not as, I guess I'm not on that, same level. I have some sort of self-control, and I'm self-aware. And I thank God for that. And good thing that you are self-aware.
Well, like you said, thank God for that. And that's sort of step one in the process, establishing your own relationship with God. And especially the African-American community, our community, like any other community, is based on the church. Yeah. And there's some great aspects of the church and some bad aspects of the church. And if you aren't able to consciously be aware of what aspect is affecting you at a particular time, it can end up being detrimental to your health. And especially in terms of self-worth, because a lot of old church was fire and brimstone. God is a God of punishment. And I think that's why you're seeing now a movement away from religion towards spirituality. Yeah. And how I define religion says God's love is conditional, where spirituality says God's love is unconditional. Yeah. I mean,
religion is, as I've gotten older, it's just a form of control. It's just a form of control. They use that Bible to control people.
Well, and that's my thing, especially in the Black community now. We have Black Muslims, Black Jews, and all. I go towards a spiritual aspect of what is your personal relationship with God. Right. And because once you figure that out, then things can start changing. Yeah. Because then you realize all this information that's being put and thrown towards you might not be what you actually believe or what God is telling you.
You listen to Access Houston, talking to author AD Burks. The 4 Steps, a practical guide to breaking the addictive cycle, is available. Where can people get the book?
You can get the book at Amazon or directly from the website, which is the4stepsguide.com. That's the 4 stepsguide.com. And the first chapter, like the other book, is online, which is step 1. You can read the entire first chapter, as well as the step 1 questions. And those questions are really detailed because we want you to be able to utilize this and break your addictive cycle. And we asked you questions. And the biggest thing is it's a workbook that you are supposed to write and journal through. Because where I was when I wrote this book is not where I was now. My relationship with my God then is not what it is now. My relationship with certain people is not what it is. And so if you can able to see your progression, that helps you get to a better understanding of what's your addiction, or what are you utilizing, and what are your sources of pain.
And man, so grab the book. It's available everywhere. And real quick, before we wrap up, you have a nonprofit that's called It's Okay to Wait.
Yes.
Tell us about your nonprofit and why you started it.
So the first step is relationship with God. Step 2 is abstinence from the substance or behavior. So for me, that was the culmination of it's okay to wait. HIV, syphilis is running rampant in our community. Matter of fact, some quick stats is the rate of Black males living with HIV in Houston is 4 times that of white men.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy.
You can go to aidsvu.org to find this information. The rate of Hispanic and Latino males is 1.2 times that of whites. And then people always think HIV with males, but let's look at women. The rate of Black females living with HIV is 16.6 times that of white females. And of Hispanic women is 2.5. So that, especially that God was able to deliver me from sex addiction, I think we needed to start focusing on actually waiting and understanding our sexual health as well as our partner's sexual health so we can stop this transmission.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Man, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
An eye-opening and educational conversation that we were having. Pick up Mr. Burks' book. It's called The 4 Steps, A Practical Guide to Breaking the Addictive Cycle, available everywhere. And for more information on your nonprofit, where can people go?
It's okay to wait. ITSOK, the number 2, the letter W, and the letter 8. It's okay to wait.com.
It's okay to wait.com.
And then they can, of course, hit me on Instagram at AD Burks Author, as well as the 4 Steps Guide is on Instagram as well.
Man, no doubt. Bro, thank you for coming on this morning. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming a first timer to the program. She is and I hope, yes, she is the founder of the Dream Build Success Conference, which is coming up July 13th through the 14th. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. LaShanda Gray. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
How are you? Miss Gray, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes, I'm fantastic. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So tell us about yourself and how you started the Dream Build Success Conference.
Well, first of all, I'm a creator by nature. And so with that, when you can't find what you need, I always believe create it. Cut the middleman out. Just create your own culture.
What's your sign?
Culture. That's it.
What are you?
Me? Oh, I'm saved.
Hey.
No, I'm born in December. So
okay.
Yeah. Yes. So I always like to create, entrepreneur, born and, wasn't born into it, but I'm a first generation entrepreneur. And so I wanted a healthy balance for people that are faith-based believers and in corporate, or maybe you're looking for personal development. So I teach men and women every single day how to create multiple streams of income.
Oh.
That's it. And leverage their ideas.
Oh, do we have your attention now?
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. Can you hear the money machine? Okay, great. So this conference is to help leaders find their purpose. Now, forgive me for saying this. If I am a leader, shouldn't I already know my purpose? Because I am leading, I have a following, I am, leading these folks into the path of righteousness or whatever, the path of success, the path to free financial burden or whatever it may be. How?
Okay. For first things first, as a person that's purpose driven, there comes a point where you plateau. Where maybe you don't get the phone calls, you don't get the tweets anymore, nobody's buying what you're selling, nobody's listening. So I believe it's empowering to be in an environment where you're around like-minded people. I believe that's where the substance happens. That's where the activation really happens for a lot of people because, say you have an idea and you've been trying to launch it for 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. But if you get into a place where you have multi-level marketing people, you have other networkers, you have other leaders, and maybe you're a leader, but you don't know you're a real leader. And maybe you're a leader that hasn't been found. Right? Because some people, they lead, but no one's putting them on certain platforms.
Right.
Like I'm one of those that before you ask someone for a stage, create your own stage. Like just go build it.
Build the stage.
There you go. And
because if you build it, they will come.
That's it. I believe it. But, with the conference, you get in that environment. And if you're purpose driven, how can I explode your purpose? That's my goal. And so whether you're a speaker, you're an attendee, when you get in there, it's just something I can't explain it. It only can be experienced. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Giving them a little a push there. And I understand that at the conference, you have got a plethora of speakers to come and encourage and educate at the Dream Build Success Conference. Talk about who you got on the panel.
Absolutely. Well, we have some, I believe, cutting edge speakers and global influencers. One of the leaders is Portia Wilkins. She's a global influencer. She travels frequently overseas, and she is a voice. She is the founder of Straight Talk, Real Talk, and it's a foundation for women. Now, we also have men. Last year, I introduced men, and I believe that was really added a good balance. So we have DJ David Settles. He is a, hey, David. Yeah.
What up, Dave? Yeah.
And so I'm excited to hear him. I believe he's going to come with a lot of fire.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good.
We also have Pastor Liddell Wilson. He's the author and speaker, but in his ministry is 95% entrepreneurs. And so how do you create an environment and culture where you can have almost everyone in your ministry, have an impact like that within their community? We have Dr. Kimberly Ellison. She's also an international voice. She comes from a corporate flair. So she's going to teach when it comes to management and your business structure, and it comes to in corporate America. So I believe we have a good balance. We also have Bishop Becca. And if you've ever met Bishop Becca, she is another media personality, but she is powerful, and I love her humor.
Yeah.
So she comes with the humorous side of entrepreneurship and leadership.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to LaShanda Gray, who is having the Dream Build Success Conference July 13th and 14th at the HCC West Loop campus. So come on out. Where can people just get more information on the conference?
Absolutely. You can go to Eventbrite and you can just put Dream Build Success Conference, or you can visit our website, dbsconference.com.
So can you tell me how the concept was conceived? Like, where were you? What was it that this idea said, you know what? I see a need here because this happened. So I see a need. I want to create this so people can grow.
Absolutely. Well, for me, I coach men and women. So as a mentor, I believe that I only can pour out so much. And so how can I get all my coaching students in one room, their friends, and then their friends and their cousins in one room, and really just make a real big impact? You need that injection every now and then. So I actually host 2 different events a year. And so this conference was birthed because, after building my platform and building my business, I thought, you know what? I have other like-minded friends that have a lot of value and they want to add and create disruption in the marketplace. So how can we do that with all our coaching students?
I like that. Add and create disruption in the marketplace.
Yes, sir.
Come through.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is, what number is this for you?
This is the second Dream Build Success Conference.
Okay.
Yes. And I host a variation, but last year we sold out in 72 hours. This year we actually doubled space, location. Yeah. Our sponsorship, shout out to all those fantastic sponsors.
Yeah.
They actually sold out. I think we opened up seats in January. We sold out in March. And so, it's amazing, to get in that room. You need to network. You need to be in the room.
Yeah. How do you, not how, excuse me, what is it that you would like for people to walk away when they leave the Dream Build Success Conference?
My ultimate goal is to know that anything is possible. As a faith-based believer, I'm a Christian woman. I stand on one scripture, Luke 1:37. It has flipped my life upside down. With God, nothing shall be impossible. And so with that, I put that in every business, every contract, every conversation, to let someone know that it's possible. It doesn't matter what, neighborhood you come from. Doesn't matter who told you weren't educated enough. I believe that education has nothing to do with where God wants to take you. And I can prove that. You have so many people that don't have degrees, that don't even know how to read or write, and God has elevated them supernaturally.
Yeah.
So that's my one goal, is to know that anything is possible.
Indeed. I love that. And that's some great word
Yeah.
on this Sunday morning. So what is next for you?
Well, the next chapter for Dream Build Success, and for me, I have an amazing book coming out, The Power of a Spoken Word. And I literally walk you through the spoken word of how everything that I'm walking in was, I've either spoken into my life or I've been able to speak it into existence. And so, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, now that's exciting. That's exciting. For more information on the Dream Build Success Conference, which is happening July 13th and 14th at the HCC West Loop campus here in the H, you can log on to
dreambuildsuccess.com or go to Eventbrite and search Dream Build Success.
Could you leave us with a good word? It's an inspirational word on this Sunday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that one of your listeners or a few of your listeners, that God is going to do something supernatural, something that they have not heard of, something they haven't even prayed. The people that have been praying, their prayer is about to be their praise report. And so if you'll receive that, I believe that God is going to turn the chapter and you can open up that next book.
Amen. Take that word and save the date for July 13th and 14th. This 2-day conference is going to change your life. It is going to change your life. The Dream Build Success Conference happening at the HCC West Loop campus, July 13th and 14th. More information, go to the website at Dream Build Success. Was it .com. I didn't want to confuse it with .org. Or you can log on to Eventbrite and search Dream Build Success Conference, and everything will pop up. LaShanda Gray, thank you so much, Ms. Gray. I appreciate you coming on. And looking forward to that book too.
I know, right?
You'll come back?
Yes, I have it. Yes, absolutely.
We'll come back and talk about the book.
It would be an honor. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to Access Houston.